As I was watching the results of the French elections come in on Sunday, I was reminded of a line from one of my favorite films, The Da Vinci Code. As a group of English policemen were standing around, being whisked away in a car was one of my favorite characters, played by Sir Ian McKellen. McKellen yelled out the window, "Never trust the French!" Truer words were never spoken. Hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome to our start of the week session of Chattin on the Porch, a little live stream where we get together and talk about what's going on in the news, try to figure out what it all means, scratch our heads, laugh if possible, cry if needed, but otherwise hold each other's hands and say, I got you, boo. We're going to get through this thing. We're on Rumble, we are on Twitter, we are on YouTube. So please, as you come in, as you pull up a chair on the electronic front porch, please go ahead, hit the thumbs up on Rumble and YouTube. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And we've got some exciting news, at least for me personally, and I want to thank all of you guys for everybody who's been involved in this. We got some exciting news on the subscription front for the electronic front porch. So yes, please, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. Our numbers are growing. Fedora Nation is getting bigger and bigger all the time. We've got some people to thank as we get started this evening. So yes, we're going to be talking about that. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am known as the Front Porch Conservative. Sometimes I'm referred to as the wise guy in the wide brims. I am known as the common man with common sense, and as always, and always above all else, I am known as your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So please, if you haven't done it yet, hit the thumbs up button on Rumble and YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to that channel. You know you want to anyway. And become a member of Fedora Nation, a fun, happy little group of newsies that get together and talk about what's going on. Okay, let's just dive right in. First of all, before I even get started, I have to say a huge thank you to so many people who have been supporting me, praying for me, offering up good karma, whatever it is that y'all do out there. Prayers are always appreciated above all else. And a great thing happened to me today. I was standing in line at the local Starbucks to grab some nourishment, as it were. And as I was checking in on YouTube Studio, a great and awesome thing happened. This magical little notification came up. 902 subscribers. We have finally crossed over the 900 mark. And I cannot thank you enough. For everybody who has just recently subscribed in the past few days. We've been bouncing around 900 for the better part of 2 months now. And I knew it was going to happen when I switched over from doing regular videos to live streams. I just didn't realize it was going to take quite so long for numbers to start moving up. And this has been a long time coming. We're still aiming for 1,000. We're going to get there. Don't you worry. We're going to get there. But thank you so much for all the new subscribers, for everybody who's been with me from the start. I can't tell you what a burden this is off my mind. Now it's a matter of staying above 900, not losing anybody. So don't you quit on me, okay? You just got here. Don't you quit on me, okay? So yes, I am. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely appreciate it. Also, we need to thank some folks on Rumble. We have some new Rumble folks. Since Friday, I want to give a shout out to Baali272. I want to thank DFW and Brian John 1965. They are brand new folks who are subscribed over on the Rumble channel. So, on behalf of the entirety of Fedora Nation, how you doing? Welcome to the party. We're glad to have you. Now, look, you Rumblers, don't you be afraid. Just because you subscribe to the channel, feel free to drop comments in chat. For example, I got two wing nuts over here, two regulars over here, TBA and WWG1. And as I was prepping the show this evening, these two characters were just going back and forth to each other, which is perfectly fine. I was having fun reading all the comments. I thought it was absolutely hysterical. So yes, do not be afraid to drop your comments in chat. As TBA says, we don't bite much. But you get the point. Really, yes, they are. They're a couple of wing nuts, but they're nice. They're nice wing nuts. And TBA's just stirring that pot for all he's worth over there right now. Jeez, y'all are awful. I love you guys. I absolutely love you. But yes, thank you for the new subscribers on Rumble. Thank you for the new subscribers on YouTube. It is greatly and definitely appreciated. Onward and upward, folks. We're moving on. We are moving on up, as that old song from the Jeffersons used to say. Anyway, well, bonsoir, mademoiselle. Good evening. Even everybody, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's just crazy. Sister, you have no idea. And that's gonna be our first subject of the night. Crazy. Which probably is best summed up with the French elections. Oh my gosh. I saw I think it was TBA over on Rumble before the show starts. I can't wait to hear what Front Porch has got to say about this. Oh goodness. Yeah, I've got quite a bit to say about it. And let's just dive right in. First, to the people of France. And I'm not saying this out of arrogance, and I'm not saying it out of anything other than heartfelt love for y'all. Okay. After the election this Sunday, for at least the next year, y'all going to go through some hard times. Harder than what you've been going through already in recent years. Okay. But just because you're going through the hard times doesn't mean that joy doesn't come in the morning. There's an old psalm in the Bible. It's I believe one of David's, and it's taken slightly out of context, but it goes something like this. It says, "Weeping endures for the night, and joy cometh in the morning." Right now, you're going through the French version of the night, and you will be going through it for the next year. That said, y'all are moving in the right direction. So from across the pond, with all the love and affection and goodwill in my heart for every citizen of the Republic of France, you're loved, you're prayed for, you're thought of, and you are not alone. We're going through different sort of things here in the United States. The people of Great Britain are going through their trials. But we are united in our love of freedom, our love of liberty, our love of self-governance, and our desire for peace. So it's with that, we're going to start diving into what happened. Now, for those of you who are watching this live stream and have been watching it, I have been keeping an eye on the French elections because I was under the belief, like many people, by the way, that perhaps a modicum of sanity was about to return to the governance of the Republic of France, in that Marine Le Pen's National Rally, as it's commonly called in the English translation, was on their way to either an out-and-out majority in the French Parliament, or, if not an out-and-out majority, a very sizable minority, maybe the biggest minority of the French Parliament. With the implications being that a young man named Jordan Bardella would probably be tapped by President Emmanuel Macron to be the next prime minister, with broad implications over policy in France, particularly in the area of funding for the Ukraine war. But a funny thing happened on the way to the second round of the French elections. And yeah, I'm like you. It is crazy trying to figure out some of what goes on in the French elections. Well, this looks like a new person. Good evening, Tiny Tesla. Hello. Welcome to the Electronic Front Porch. We're glad to have you. I think this might be my first time recognizing you here. So, from all of us at Fedora Nation, welcome. Glad you're here for the first time. If this is not your first time, just let me know. Drop comments in chat. We're glad to have you. The French election system is very, very unusual. And I was trying to get an understanding of it. I took a listen to a live stream and I did not have it pulled up, but let me just see if I can get a hold of this real fast while I'm talking. On all things foreign policy, I tend to, particularly European politics, I check out the boys from the Duran, Alex Cristofaro and Alexander Macoras. And they did a live stream on the French election, as you might suspect. And there was something that I did not realize as it related to the French elections, the system. Now, as y'all know, they've got a 2-vote system set up. And I'm going to drop the link to this live stream in Rumble and YouTube. And if you guys want to listen to this at your convenience, please feel free. Okay. According to Alexander Macoras, who's one half of the Duran, and a fabulous live stream. If you want to learn about European politics, I really recommend these guys to you. They are just tremendous. Okay. But the reason that the 2-tiered system was set up in French elections, interestingly enough, ironically enough, is that back in the 50s and 60s, it was designed in such a way to prevent the French communists from taking over the government. Now, given what the result of what happened, that irony is not lost on somebody like me. But back in the day, in the 60s in particular, they set up this system so that the French Communist Party could not gain enough ground to take over a majority of the votes in the French Parliament and consequently start running the government. Well, the irony of it is the very system that was set up to stop the communist and Marxist in the 1960s is now the very same system that has prevented the reasonable French from taking power in their own country again. And that gets us to some of our first coverage. Now, like I said, French elections and British elections are a little bit frustrating for me because I'm used to the American system. You get the most votes. That should mean you get the most seats in your legislative chamber, be it the House of Representatives or the United States Senate. In France, not quite so much. Check out this headline from Breitbart to start our coverage. French elections. Populist Le Pen party won the most votes, but awarded the third most seats. I know, that headline almost makes no sense on its face, but let's get into this. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Article written by Kurt Zindulka. We have the following. The French election results showed that the alliance of dishonor between President Emmanuel Macron and the far left effectively blocked the populist national rally from gaining a majority despite the Le Pen party having won the most votes. According to the French Interior Ministry, Marine Le Pen's national rally won the most votes of any party during Sunday's second round of the snap legislative elections at over 8.7 million. Good enough for 32.05% of the vote. Unbelievable, but it gets worse. When combined with their electoral alliance partners from the disputed Les Républicains, President Eric Ciotti, which earned 1.4 million, good for 5% of the vote, that would take the right wing to over 10 million votes and 37.05% of the vote. By comparison, the far-left New Popular Front alliance of communists, socialists, and environmentalists, led by radical leftist Jean-Luc Mélenchon, only received around 7 million votes, or around 25.7%, and Emmanuel Macron's neoliberal centrist coalition received 6.3 million votes, or 23.15% of the vote. However, despite receiving 1.7 million fewer votes than National Rally, the New Popular Front was awarded the most seats of any party, currently projected by Le Monde at 182 seats. Macron's coalition won an estimated 168 seats, and despite coming in first in terms of vote share, the National Rally and its partners were awarded the third most seats at a projected 143. The disparity between votes and seats in the National Assembly came as a result of the backroom deal struck between President Macron and the new Popular Front, which is each side agreed to drop out in favor of the candidate with the best chance of beating out the Populist Party in over 200 legislative districts. Now hold that thought. Seabass, good to see you. Welcome to the party, my friend. Welcome to the party. All right, now hold that thought, because we're going to check out a story which, honestly, I saw this last week, and it just didn't ring enough warning bells in my head, but it should have. And I think my inattentiveness, despite the fact that I don't know a lot about French elections, my inattentiveness should have tipped me off to what was about to happen. Headlined from the UK Daily Mail in consultation with the Associated Press. French candidates make hurried deals to try to stop the far-right National Rally from leading the government. Dateline Paris. French opposition parties made hurried deals on Tuesday to try to block a landslide victory for Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally in Sunday's second round of legislative elections, as she said her party would lead the government only if it wins an absolute majority or close to it. The National Rally, under party president Jordan Bardella, secured the most votes in the first round of the early legislative elections on June 30th, but not enough to claim an overall victory that would allow the formation of France's first far-right government since World War II. We cannot accept going into government if we cannot act, Le Pen said in an interview with broadcast France Inter. It would be the worst betrayal of our voters. However, if we have, say, 270 lawmakers, we need 19 more. We will go to others and ask them if they are ready to participate with us in a new majority. Oh, gosh. I should have realized what was getting ready to happen. Now, let me explain, or try to explain this as I understand it. The first round of voting occurred on Sunday, June 30th. Marine Le Pen and National Rally won a huge percentage of the vote. Matter of fact, in some cases, they won over 50%, outright winning seats. Okay. Between Sunday's vote and Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. time in France, about 200 different candidates from all over the nation of France dropped out of the race. And as Breitbart and the UK Daily Mail indicate, deals were getting cut between Macron and Marxist and communist candidates. And I got something to say about that here in a few minutes. Okay. Basically what they did, they divided to conquer. All these deals that got cut, well, now TBA asks a really great question. How much did it cost Macron? Now, look, I'm not accusing Macron of any out-and-out corruption here, although I've got a serious bone to pick with, the Jupiter president, as he likes to think of himself. WWG1 says, drop out if you want to screw the other party, and that is exactly, my friend, what they did. That is exactly what they did. TBA says, so the upshot is for French elections is that the losers become the winners. Les bastards. Les bastards is a good term for it, my friend. This has been said in various forms throughout the day, but see, I don't call this surrender. I'm gonna have a slightly different take on this than most people. But I understand the sentiment, believe me. The French have never been exactly known for courageousness in one form or another, depending on the context in which you speak. Okay. Get me collar straightened around here a little bit. There we go. I don't look at this as surrender on the part of the French people. I really don't. Even for the ones that voted for the lefties, the communists, the Marxists. Look, they're communist and Marxist in their philosophy. That's not surrender. They're voting their conscience. Okay? But like I said, I've got various thoughts about this. Marine Le Pen, for her part, I think took the right tack. I've got a clip here. I'll play it. It's subtitled, so you'll be able to read it. But I want you to check out her response, because honestly, this is pretty classy.
Alors franchement déçu, non, parce que j'ai trop d'expérience pour être déçu par un résultat où nous doublons notre nombre de députés. Vous savez, moi j'étais député il y a 2 ans et 1 semaine et nous étions 7.
Hang on a second. Let me
Par
do this a little bit.
conséquent,
Let me start this up for you guys again.
je note
I
cette...
didn't have that
Alors
enlarged. Here
franchement
we go.
déçu, non, parce que j'ai trop d'expérience
I'm
pour être
disappointed. I've had
déçu
too much experience to
par
be
un
disappointed by a
résultat où nous
result
doublons notre
where
nombre
we
de
double
députés.
the
Vous
number of
savez, moi
MPs.
j'étais
You know,
député
I
il y
was a
a
member of
2 ans et
parliament
1
2 years, and
semaine et
1
nous
week ago
étions
there were
7.
7 of us.
Par conséquent,
As a result,
je
I note this
note cette
progress
progression face
in
à
front of
tous,
everyone.
face à une coalition totale de l'ensemble des mouvements allant de LR jusqu'à LFI,
LR to LFI,
accompagné, il faut
company,
bien
it
dire,
must be
par la
said,
presse qui
by the
a tout
press,
de même pris
which took
parti
sides,
clairement pendant cette
clearly
campagne.
took sides in the
Et
campaign. And so
donc,
I
je
see
vois
that
que
it's
ce
the
soir, le Rassemblement national
Rassemblement
est le parti
National and
politique
the political
qui
parties
est le premier de
that number
France.
one in
Il est
France.
aussi le premier
It's also the
parti
leading
en
party
termes
in
de
terms
nombre
of
de
number of
députés.
MPs.
Et
And
je
above
vois
all,
surtout l'ensemble des
I see the
ferments
building
qui sont
blocks
ceux de la victoire de
for
demain.
tomorrow's victory.
Je vois que...
That's pretty classy. And all things considered in defeat, that's pretty daggone classy. I give Marie Le Pen a lot of credit. Now, I started off this live stream with thoughts and prayers for the French people. And I mean that in all sincerity. They're going to go through some dark days ahead. There's just no getting around that. And if you want some examples of what I'm talking about, you've heard me make the joke that the French are revolting. Well, they've been revolting ever since Sunday night. And the irony of it is the people who are revolting are the ones that had the most victory in the election. Folks, take a look at this. This is just one example of it, of rioting in the streets of Paris. And this is just a crying shame. Watch this. There have been scenes like that or worse all over Paris ever since Sunday night. And for the French people, I feel bad. Yeah, and this is going to be true. This is going to be true. Yeah. Chaya, would you do me a favor, my love? And I'm not criticizing. My French is very limited, but I'd love to know what the translation of that is. I think I know what it means, but if you wouldn't mind, let me know what the English translation of that is. I would really like to know. I think I know what it means, but I'm not totally sure. Yeah. Yeah. The Muslims won't leave until they are removed, says TBA. Exactly. Like I say, the French are about to go through some very, very dark days ahead. Truly. And they have my sentiments, or my prayers, my thoughts. Now, that said, well, here's one more article talking about how dark things are about to get. No future. French Jews express fears after far-left election results. Look at this. Look at this, folks. See any French flags in there anywhere by chance? I don't. Article by Paul Boys. We have the following. French Jews fear that they may have no future in the country after the far left's victory in the parliamentary elections over the weekend. As Breitbart News reported, French President Emmanuel Macron's alliance with the New Popular Front delivered a victory over Marine Le Pen's populist right, which has sparked concerns about rising anti-Semitism. Moshe Sibag, a rabbi for the synagogue de la Victoire, told the Times of Israel that, quote, it seems France has no future for Jews, while advising young Jews in the country to leave for Israel. But people my age, who are 50 to 60, we've made our life here and we fear for the future of our children. I can understand that. While Moshe Sabag certainly did not welcome the new Popular Front victories, he ultimately lamented about the mainstreaming of anti-Semitism in general. French Jewish philosopher Bernard-Henri Levin said this weekend's victory marks a rise in the new anti-Semitism. Quote, the left is once again kidnapped by the infamous Mélenchon. Divisive language, hate of the Republic on the lips. Around him right now are some incarnations of new anti-Semitism, a chilling moment, a stain. Continue to fight against these people, French philosopher Bernard-Henri Lévy wrote on Twitter. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the leader of the French Unbowed Far Left Party, or LFI, previously called French Jews, quote, an arrogant minority that lectures the rest, and is even on record in an earlier speech as celebrating anti-Israel protesters days after some of them stormed a synagogue, condemning in that speech only French Jews who demonstrated to show solidarity with Israel, according to the outlet. Yeah, they're about to go through some bad days. Ain't no doubt about that. Now, I would like to take a moment to say something to French President Emmanuel Macron. And odds are he'll never see this. So maybe I'm just doing this to get this off my chest or out of my own system, but I think it needs to be said. And again, with the understanding that I am most certainly not the most expert person to study or comment upon French politics or French elections, but I think I've got enough common sense to say what I'm about to say. President Macron, how much do you hate your countrymen? How much do you hate your countrymen that you would sell your political soul to do a deal with the devil just so you can keep Marine Le Pen and her political movement out of power? Now, you're probably sitting there thinking that's a very harsh thing to say, totally unjust and unfounded. Well, I have a question for you. You knew very good and well what Mélenchon and those like him were like. You knew very well the havoc that Antifa and Marxists and communists were wreaking across your country. The rioting in the streets of Paris, the rioting in the countryside, and various other places. You try to portray yourself as some kind of, intellectual centrist, that your interests, you are above it all. You're smarter than everybody else. Yet you're so scared of the will of the French people that you will cut a deal with people that do not care about a French national identity, that do not care about your republic's history, that do not care about your people, its contributions to the world, to Western civilization, and you will do an alliance with them at the risk of destroying your own country and hurting your own citizens. So, sir, on behalf of so many across this world, I'll ask the question again. How much do you hate the citizens that you purport to be the leader of? It must be quite a bit, because if you're willing to do a deal with these devils, and that's exactly what they are political devils, they are jackals. If you're willing to do a deal with these people just to keep your political opponent out of power, then you truly must hate the people that you purport to lead more than can ever be imagined. I mean, I sit here and constantly criticize American leaders in government for their arrogance and their hatred, but I'll tell you one thing, they can't hold a candle to what you just did to your own people. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you for what you've done to the French people. Shame on you for hating peace and freedom and liberty so much that you would deprive your own citizens of it, all in the name of making sure that your political opponent cannot see power. And the worst part out of it is you have nothing to gain out of this. Come 2027, you will resign your seat. I mean, you're done. You're term limited. You're going to go out the door. You have politically nothing to gain from all this in the long term. And frankly, this alliance that you've done wouldn't even have been necessary had you not called for a snap election. You could have taken the results of the election in the European Parliament and just said, okay, we had a bad day. All right, National Rally did well in the European Parliament, but we still have a majority of the members of my party in the French Parliament. We're okay. We're going to keep on going right down the road. Instead, in your arrogance and your hate, you called for this election. The voters expressed their will in the first round, and then at that point, you started cutting deals. And the enemies of France, yes, I said the enemies of France, who are inside your own borders, looked at your weakness and your anger and your nervousness, and they took full advantage of it. And now, for at least the next year, they will do nothing but wreak havoc upon the peace-loving citizens of France. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you, and a pox on you and all the political leaders of France just like you. You have no heart, and you most certainly have no soul. You are a small, tiny, hollow little man, and you've laid yourself bare before the world to see just how insignificant and tiny you are. And in the meanwhile, the French people, for at least a year before any new elections can be called, are going to suffer under this. So congratulations. I hope it was worth it. Joe over on Rumble says, if I was advising Le Pen, a coalition comprised of communists, environmentalists, and socialists should be pretty easy to pick apart. Those type of people are emotional. They are not at all logical. All that needs to do is insert some clever agitators and cause them to distrust and fight each other, and they will go their separate ways. Well, the good news in that regard, Joe, is they're already doing it. Mélenchon's calling on Macron to resign. Macron's not going to do it. Macron's trying to find somebody to coalition with. They don't want a coalition with Macron. If it weren't for the awful things that are going to happen to the French people, I might actually celebrate this result. Now, you might be out there saying, but Front Porch, they have a divided government. They can't get anything done. Exactly. It's gridlock. And gridlock is a good thing. What? Well, we're not going to get anything done. Exactly. They can't do any harm to the French people if they can't get things through the parliament. Great. At least for a year, that wouldn't be quite so bad. The problem is, whatever rulers are there, they're going to absolutely try and screw over the French people. I mean, I think things are going to be bad in England. They're going to be worse in France. No, you're right. I shouldn't even ask, but I know what they're going to get. I know. True that. True that, my friend. Very true. Gypsy over on Rumble says the French are being replaced at an extraordinary rate. There is no time left to regain anything. Yeah, see, that's the bad part. Even if they get through this next year, what is left of France? Now, by what is left of France, I don't mean the physical nation of France. I mean, it's going to be there. I'm talking about culturally. I'm talking about the people of France. I'm talking about they've got wide open borders to the point the heathen infidel are going to overrun the French. Yes, I said heathen infidel. So, I know sometimes we all get mad at the French, and Lord knows, hundreds of years of history give us cause to do so. But, If you happen to say a prayer for them, I'm sure they wouldn't. I'm sure they wouldn't mind it being offered up on their part. WWG1 says there's no such thing as term limits in a war. Most countries have it in their constitutions. There shall be no transfer of power during a war, including the U.S. True. True. All right. It is, top of the hour. Just in time for me to do a real quick commercial. Yeah, we'll probably have more on the French elections over the coming days, but I wanted to get that in because we've got a few other things we got to talk about here. TBA says replacement theory is real. The elitists have designed the, quote, immigration to replace white European peoples within 25 years. Brother, that replacement theory is no longer conspiracy theory. I'm tell you what. It was poo-poo. By the way, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months. Just a thought. Anyway, it's the top of the hour. Let me do a real quick commercial. Hi. If you're here for the first time, which was the case with a young lady named Tiny Tesla, or maybe it's a guy. I'm not sure. Tesla, I'm assuming a lady, but I could be wrong. Hope I'm not misgendering. Anyway, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This live stream that you're listening in on is called Chattin on the Porch. We get together Monday through Thursday, 7:30 Eastern on Rumble, on Twitter, and on YouTube. We talk about the news, just like we just did about the French elections. Give our thought. Tiny Tesla is a lady. Well, a tip of the hat to you. We are here on Rumble, on Twitter, on YouTube. So if you're just joining us for the very first time, please give a thumbs up. Leave some comments. Darius, man, he went crazy over the weekend. Left me about 20-something comments on one live stream, bless his heart. Good dude that he is. And also, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please give a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. We've got new members that are coming in all the time on both sides. We're a going little concern. We want to be a going big concern. Let's see. TBA says we are all anons on these podcasts, Brian. No pronouns are allowed, mostly. Well, I'm going to pronoun you, you daggone. I'll he, she, you as I see fit. Thank you very much. So there you go. Okay, let's get to the palace intrigue that is Washington, D.C. and Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. I was thinking about it today as I was setting everything up for the live stream this evening. And I've been watching American politics really since I was, 15, 16, 17 years old. So we're talking about, given my current age in life, which is years old, I've been watching American politics for like close to 35 years. And I don't think I have ever seen anything like what's going on in the Democrat Party right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen some rowels take place over the years. I've seen some front stabbing. I've seen some backstabbing. I've seen some backbiting. I've seen some gnawing and chewing and cussing and spitting and growling and everything else. But I don't think I have ever seen anything like what I am watching in this tug of war to try and get Joe Biden to drop his bid for re-election. Yeah, that ain't no lying about that. I'm a Rush baby. Ain't no doubt about that. He's one of my heroes. But thank you for noticing. I genuinely appreciate that. I've never seen anything like this. I have seen the press and Democrats try to get various politicians out of the way, and most of the time it usually works. Okay. Joe, to borrow a line from one of my favorite movies, is dug in like a tick on an Alabama hound dog. He ain't going anywhere. But that's not stopping the Democrats from continuing this effort. Now, over the weekend, Joe is continuing to have the problems that have plagued him now for years. This is an event in Philadelphia, and this kind of just blows the mind. Check out this clip. Wait a minute, I thought you were a senator in Delaware, but I digress. Let's go back to the clip. Oh, no sound? Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it. Hang on, y'all. Let's try this again. Okay, let's start this over. Tell me if you can hear this.
But look, even when I was running for Senate, and each time I ran, quite frankly, not a joke, Philadelphia in particular, got me across the line. No, I'm not joking. No, I mean it seriously, organizationally and in terms of fundraising, the whole deal. But look, here's the deal. This election is going to be about block and tackling, simple, basic politics. Simple. It's going to be a matter of how many signs we get out, how many doors we knock on, how many calls we make, and how many requests we answer.
You know, under normal circumstances, I would say that that's absolutely true. There's just one problem. I'm not sure if the American people haven't already rendered their judgment. Now, don't get me wrong. There's we're down to less than 4 months. We're down to less than 4 months left to go in this race. At this point, the numbers are not moving. We'll get into that. If not tonight, then tomorrow we're definitely getting into that. Because personally, I think I have found the way that the Democrats are going to try and get Joe out. And I'll tease that here in a little bit with what my theory of the case is. But I think I know exactly where they're going here, but it's not quite what you think. So yes, Joe is having verbal gaffes all over the place. And then you've got people leaking from inside the White House like a sieve. And this is just extraordinary. WWG1 says it's going to be quite the 4-month shit show. Dude, we have no idea. This is going to be extraordinary. Yeah. So here we've got a leak from inside the White House to Axios. Watch this. How Biden event staffers guide him from behind the scenes by Alex Thompson. Now, notice these cards. Walk to podium. Here's a picture of the podium. Now, reading a little bit further, for his events, President Biden's staffers prepare a short document with large print and photos that include his precise path to the podium according to an event template the White House sends to staffers. Since the June 27th debate, some Democrats who've attended and helped set up Biden events have wondered whether his team's focus on minute details were to obscure the 81-year-old president's limitations rather than just the reflection of a meticulous staff. Quote, I staffed a simple fundraiser at a private residence, but they treated it like it was a NATO summit with his movements, according to a person who staffed a Biden event in the past 18 months. Before a presidential event, the White House sends event staffers a document to emulate when preparing their own materials for the president. One template, a copy of which was obtained by Axios, is short and simple, with one large picture of the event space on each page, accompanied with big text such as view from podium, view from audience. In the 5-page document, 2 pages of separate pictures of walk to podium. The staffers who helped with the fundraiser told Axios, quote, it surprised me that a seasoned political pro like the president would need detailed verbal and visual instructions of how to enter and exit a room. A White House official told Axios, if individuals are not accustomed to seeing advanced teams work, this would be a common reaction, whoever the principal is. The 2 former aides who worked with Biden during his vice president said that at the time, his preparation documents were different and more often relied on site diagrams. Organizing presidential events, often called advance work, is intensive and detail-focused for every commander-in-chief. Presidential movements are planned down to every footstep in ways that the movements of a vice president often are not. Advanced documents also have evolved since Biden was vice president, including the increased use of smartphone photographs. Now, I want to say something about this. Alex Thompson's absolutely right. I mean, it's an advanced team. If you're not familiar with how this goes, but with your all's common sense, you're going to figure it out real fast. An advanced team sometimes will take maybe a few days, maybe even as upwards of a week. They will go to a site, check out the venue, make any adjustments to said venue that they've got to. In other words, do we need to set up better sound system? Do we need to talk to the county chairman? How many tickets have we got sold for this event? How many people can we get the crowd there? Who's the local press contact? Who's the TV station contact? They will do everything right down to minute detail. I will never forget years ago, I was working as a paid staffer in a U.S. Senate candidate race out in Illinois. This was like 96. And Bob Dole, if you may remember, was the Republican presidential candidate. There was an event held at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield, Illinois. Bob Dole was there. The then governor of Illinois, Jim Edgar, was there. All the Republican office holders statewide, and there were quite a few of them at the time. This was when the Republican Party in Illinois was in the twilight of its power. And I mean, watching the advanced staff work the stage, I got to the event maybe, I don't know, I was there maybe an hour and a half before it started. People were still filing in. They were, listening to music on loudspeakers, yada, yada, yada. The advanced team was up on the stage, checking the lighting, checking, I knew they were ready to go. The 2-minute warning is basically when a binder got laid on the podium, which would be Bob Dole delivering his remarks. The advanced team was just incredible. So when Alex Thompson says in this article for Axios that an advanced team for a presidential candidate does things right down to the movements, I'm not surprised by that. That said, however, what the heck is the Biden advanced team doing, putting pictures on saying, walk to podium, view from podium? That seems a little bit ridiculous. Good evening, Mr. Lowry. Glad to have you. That's a little bit crazy. And that also begs another question. How the heck did Alex Thompson from Axios get a hold of this stuff anyway? Somebody from inside the White House is leaking it. So this tug of war that's going on between the people who want Biden out and Biden and his people is just ongoing. Well, this morning, it got kicked up a notch. As you all may remember from over the weekend, there were various meetings going on. Hakeem Jeffries, the House minority leader for the Democrats, was holding a Zoom conference call with House Democrats to talk about what they think they ought to do. Should they try to force the president's hand? Should somebody walk into the Oval Office and say, Joe, it's over? I mean, you had Mark Warner of Virginia, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He's trying to get a letter drafted and get senators on board to try and go to the president and say, look, Joe, you got it for the good of the party. You got to get out of this thing. You've got the press talking about it. Oh, I mean, it was reaching a crescendoed frenzy. Well, for as crazy as it got over the weekend, it just went up a notch because Joe Biden sent a 2-page letter around. And when he dropped this letter this morning, it was like not even a gavel that a judge would hammer on. No, this was like a sledgehammer in the middle of the table to get everybody's attention and send a message. And we've got a copy of the letter right here. You can't really see it, but I'll do my best to read this thing to you, and I'll go through it as quickly as I can. The salient parts. This is from Joe Biden's personal stationery, dated July 8th, 2024. Fellow Democrats, now that you have returned from the July 4th recess, I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running this race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump. I have had extensive conversations with the leadership of the party, elected officials, rank-and-file members, and most importantly, Democrat voters over the past 10 days or so. I have heard the concerns that people have. their good faith fears and worries about what is at stake in this election. I am not blind to them. Believe me, I know better than anyone the responsibility and the burden of the nominee of our party carries. I carried it in 2020 when the fate of our nation was at stake. Oh, Lord, the hyperbole. I also know these concerns come from a real respect for my lifetime of public service and for my record as president. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, continuing. And I have been moved by the expressions of affection for me from so many who have known me well and supported me over the course of my public life. I have been grateful for the rock-solid, steadfast support from so many elected Democrats in Congress and all across the country, and have taken great strength from the resolve and determination that I have seen from so many voters and grassroots supporters in the hardest of weeks. I can respond to all of this by saying clearly and unequivocally, I wouldn't be running again if I did not absolutely believe I was the best person to beat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a Democrat nomination process, and the voters have clearly spoken and decisively. I received over 14 million votes, 87% of the votes cast across the entire nominating process. I had nearly 3,900 delegates, making me the presumptive nominee of our party by a wide margin. This was an open process to anyone who wanted to run. Only 3 people chose to challenge me. One fared so badly that he left the primaries to run as an independent. Another attacked me for being too old and was soundly defeated. The voters of the Democrat Party have voted. They have chosen me to be the nominee of their party. All right, now, right there, I'm going to stop and call BS. Okay? This was not an open primary process. Oh, there were people who were allowed to declare their candidacy. Dean Phillips, congressman from Minnesota, Marianne Williamson, who's a Democrat activist. Yes, Robert Kennedy was trying to run as a Democrat. But this argument that says that it was an open process and the voters have spoken, bull. No. The Florida Democrat Party canceled their primary so they wouldn't even have a vote on the question. The DNC moved up the South Carolina primary ahead of Iowa and ahead of New Hampshire to give Joe Biden an advantage in South Carolina with African American voters who would probably overwhelmingly vote for him in the primary anyway. So please don't give me this garbage about, oh, well, it was an open primary process and the voters have spoken and I have the most delegates, which is true, by the way. He does have the most delegates. But that doesn't mean this was an open process. That's a load of hooey. Yeah. Anyway, a little further into this letter. Do we now just say this process didn't matter, that the voters don't have a say? I decline to do that. I feel a deep obligation to the faith and trust the voters of the Democrat Party have placed in me to run this year. It was their decision to make, not the press, not the pundits, not the big donors, not any selected group of individuals, no matter how well-intentioned. The voters and the voters alone decide the nominee of the Democrat Party. How can we stand for democracy in our nation if we ignore it in our own party? I cannot do that. I will not do that. I will say this. Joe's got a valid point. He really does. And I am not being a smart aleck when I say that. He's right. The Democrat voters did vote for him with a caveat. They voted for a man not realizing how bad off he was, or they voted realizing it, but not realizing quite how bad off he was. See, Joe's trying to make it sound like, the voters were sold. How do I want to put this? The voters were sold a Ferrari when the reality is they've got the biggest lemon that they ever could have paid for by their vote. Okay? That's an interesting way of putting it. Dementia and a personality disorder. All right, I'll bite on it. What kind of personality disorder? And by the way, Ron DeSantis, glad to have you here. If you are the governor of Florida, you don't have to be quite so on the down low, so to speak. Anyway, glad to have you here. Welcome to the Electronic Front Porch. He's right. He's absolutely right. The voters did vote for him. And yeah, the pundits, the chattering class in Washington, the press, certain Democrat elected officials, they really, I'm going to say something here, and I never thought I'd ever say this. Y'all do realize we're watching a coup d'etat against an elected president of the United States, right? I thought the last time something like this happened was Nixon or Donald Trump. No, apparently they're willing to do it to anybody, Democrats included. We are watching a coup d'etat against an elected Democrat who has been voted the nominee of his party. The Democrat Party hasn't had a legit primary going back to 2016. They don't trust their voters, says Joe over on Rumble. Can't disagree with you on that. Now, TBA, I do try to do my best to read all the comments in chat, regardless of whether you and WWG1 are having one of your rowels. So, sir, respectfully, have at it, you two. Have fun. And I will be here reading it all, or doing my best to anyway. Democrats would rather no voting at all would occur. He ain't wrong there. All right, let me read the last part of this letter and we'll move on. And we are standing up for American democracy. After January 6th, Trump has proven he is unfit to ever hold the office of president. We can never allow him anywhere near that office again, and we never will. My fellow Democrats, we have the record, the vision, and the fundamental commitment to American freedoms and our democracy to win. The question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end. We have one job, and that is to beat Donald Trump. We have 42 days to the Democratic convention and 119 days to the general election. Any weakening of resolve or lack of clarity about the task ahead only helps Trump and hurts us. It is time to come together to move forward as a unified party and defeat Donald Trump. Sincerely, Joseph R. Biden, Jr., President of the United States of America. So yeah, he just dropped a hammer right in the middle of the table. Now, where it goes from here, who can say? I do think, let me see if I can find it here real fast. Where is that? The very thing I'm looking for here. Hang on. Oh, do not. No, apparently I didn't. I thought I had. Darn it. Yeah. And then if, please tell me this is here. Please tell me I've got it. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is great. This is great. So he drops that letter very early in the morning. He then decides to go on Morning Joe unannounced in a surprise phone call. And we've got a clip of that. I tell you what, I don't know exactly at what point in the show this was, but I tell you what, he sounded pretty good. His orange juice must have been juiced indeed. Anyway, do me a favor and check this out.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for two reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance, number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce the president. Challenge me at the convention.
They tried to run against you, sir. They tried to run against you. You wouldn't let them. Or if they did run against you, you and the DNC rigged the rules in such a way that there was no way they could give you a serious challenge. You hogged all the money. You hogged all the delegates. You had every advantage of incumbency. What did you think was going to happen? I mean, seriously, this whole, come on, take me on. Come on, buddy, let's fight. Let's duke it out. Come on. Come on, Joe. You know exactly what you and Jamie Harrison, the chairman of the DNC, did. You rigged the primary system in such a way that Dean Phillips had not a shot in the world of being a serious contender against you, despite the fact, and in spite of all that, there's about a good 15 to 20% of Democrats that did not vote for you in the primaries. Oh, you have 3,900 delegates. I don't dispute that at all. But you do not have the loyalty of the Democrat Party. By the way, and another thing, Joe, and you ought to think about this good, long, and hard, my friend. There's not a poll out there, and it doesn't matter who's doing it. You are bleeding Democrat support. You are bleeding the African-American vote. You may not want to hear that from me, and you may not want to hear it from people close to you, but I'm telling you right now, I don't know how much of the African-American vote Donald Trump's going to get in November, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets anywhere from 15 to 20% at a minimum. And that's not necessarily my estimate. That's Rich Barris, and his pretty conservative in his numbers. But if Trump does get 15 to 20% of the African American vote, you are toast. Assuming a few things, let me rephrase that. All things being equal, you're done. The percentage of Hispanics that Trump's getting right now, the African American vote, non-college educated whites, brother, you got problems all the way around the board. It doesn't matter whose polling it is. It could be Democrat-friendly polls. It could be polls that are straight down the middle, maybe Republican-leaning polls. It doesn't matter whose poll it is. You got problems, and we'll take a look at some of that tomorrow night. But Joe's out there on the whole, we've got to stop this, and I'm not leaving. I'm not going. And keep in mind, come July 27th, they're going to hold a virtual convention. They will, before they ever get to Chicago, they will put him in as the nominee. So the Democrats basically have 19 days left. They have 19 days left that if they're going to get him out, that's their only window to do it. Because if he gets to July 27th and the delegates take their vote, he's got the nomination, and there's no getting it away from him. So don't you think that we will not see a lot of maneuvering between then and now to try to get him out? Now, I said a little while ago, and it was M169 who brought this up, the question about Parkinson's disease. And like I say, we'll get into this in more detail because, I mean, this is stories that broke out over the weekend. Apparently, not apparently, it's true. Joe Biden has been seeing a neurologist who is a specialist in Parkinson's. Now, the White House is trying to say that this is all just part of his normal physical that he gets every year. Okay. It's just one little problem. According to White House records, the neurologist was there in January, 1 month before the physical at Walter Reed in February. And again, according to White House records, and this was reported by the UK Guardian. According to the UK Guardian, the neurologist with a specialty in Parkinson's was back in March, 1 month after the physical. Wait a minute, what? And according to the UK Guardian, I wish I had this article pulled up. According to the UK Guardian, this Parkinson's specialist has been seen at the White House on 8 different occasions since August of last year, including those 3 that I mentioned. So 5 other separate occasions since August of last year. What the heck is going on? Well, to give you an idea of how things are going at the White House, Karine Jean-Claude Van Damme Pierre had a very testy session with the White House press corps today, and it did not go well. This runs almost 4 minutes. And under normal circumstances, I wouldn't play all of this without chopping it up a little bit. But if you want an idea of how bad things are getting at the White House, you need to watch this, because this is something to behold. Check this out.
We respect and protecting people's privacy, so do not want to share. I'm not going to share people's names from here, but the president, I can tell you, has seen a neurologist 3 times, as it's connected to a physical that he gets every year that we provide to all of you.
That's a very basic, direct question.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
8 times, or at least once, in regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
Not what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Ed, please. A little respect here, please.
Well, I'll tell you what. You'll get yours when you give theirs.
So every year, around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times, right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying. I am telling you that he has seen them 3 times. That is what I'm sharing with you, right? So every time he has a physical, he has had to see a neurologist. So that is answering that question.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. You're
Dr.
asking
Kevin
me.
Kennard, come to the White House.
But I also said to you, Ed, I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names. We cannot share names. We have to.
Others he would have met with.
We cannot.
You can share names in regards to if someone came here in regards to the president.
We cannot share names of specialists broadly, from a dermatologist to a neurologist. We cannot share names. There are security reasons. We have to protect. I understand that. I hear you.
Right there for anyone to see.
Ed, I hear you. I cannot from here confirm any of that because we have to keep their privacy. I think they would appreciate that too. We have to give them.
The doctor.
We have to keep their privacy.
It is public.
I hear you. Guys, hold on a second. There's no reason to go back and forth and be in this aggressive way.
Missed around here about how information's been shared with the press corps about him.
What do you miss?
Did you guys hear that? We're getting miffed around here about how information is being shared with the press corps. She has lost control of this briefing. I have never seen her this flustered in the whole time she has been press secretary. Normally, that woman has ice water running through her veins, okay? Or adrenochrome, depending on it. Nah, never mind. You get my point. This lady normally is cool, calm, collected, and in total control. The White House press is absolutely chewing her up. They are on her heels. They've got her on her heels. They're not giving her an inch. Okay? This is something to behold. We'll try and go a little bit further with this.
What do you miss
Everything
about?
he just asked about.
And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys asked.
Correctly, you didn't have to come back and clean up.
I never answered the question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered. And I said, no, he did not have a medical exam. And I still stand by that. Matter of fact, the president still stands by that. He had a verbal check-in. That is something that the president has a couple times a week.
Now in regards to Dr. Kevin Kennard.
And I am telling you right now that I am not confirming names from here.
Now, you may not have heard what he just said, but the reporter out in the audience said, yes, and Dr. Kevin Kennard. The press room already knows the name of this neurologist who specializes in Parkinson's. Okay? Now, in one sense, Jean-Claude Van Damme Pierre is right. Okay? They're not going to share names out of privacy. Well, too late. Everybody already knows the name of the guy. It was already out in the UK Guardian, and it was already out in the New York Post story that ran over the weekend. They know the name of the guy. For her to sit there and say, well, we're not going to confirm this because, privacy concerns, honey, these are people in the press. Karine, give it a rest. They know exactly who this guy is, and you not acknowledging that by telling them the name is just a little bit ridiculous. But anyway, back to the clip.
It is the security reasons. I am not going to do that, Ed. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me. I'm not going to confirm a name. It doesn't matter if it's even in the log. I am not going to do that from here. That is not something I am going to do. What I can share with you is that the president has seen a neurologist for his physical 3 times. 3 times. And it is in the reporting that we share a comprehensive reporting. Matter of fact, it's more than what the last guy shared, and it is in line with what George W. Bush did. It's in line with what Obama did. And so it is comprehensive. It is out there. I just read a quote from it, but I am not going to devolve somebody's name or confirm someone. I'm not going to do that. That is as privacy for that person. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me from here. I'm just not going to do that. It is inappropriate. It is not acceptable. So I'm not going to do it.
Not about the name.
Go ahead. Okay.
This was bad. This was absolutely bad. Yeah, I agree with this completely. If only journalists had that energy years ago. Tell me the truth. WWG1 over on Rumble says it's like a first-year elementary teacher losing control of the classroom. Exactly. She lost it. Yeah, and they did. That's just it. He's sitting there in the audience. I don't know who it was, some reporter named Ed. It could have been any number of people. But this reporter named Ed is saying, here's his name. Will you just confirm it? He's saying it to her. Now, again, I can sort of see where she's coming from in this. I'm not going to confirm names, for security purposes. But Karine, honey, don't treat these people like they're stupid. They've already got the guy's name. Quit talking down to them. But then again, you've been doing this for years, ever since you've been up there behind that podium. Worst press secretary in the history of the White House. Swear she is. She's awful. Yeah, this may very well be the first time it's ever happened to her. I mean, like I said, I have never seen the press go after her like they went after her today. TBA over on Rumble says the White House press corps is obviously in on the joke, and we Americans are left to fill in the blanks. No, I'll take you one better than that, TBA. I'll make an argument. We're doing a whole lot more than filling in the blanks. We're actually doing the job that journalists don't want to do. And I'm not necessarily talking about myself. I mean you, I mean Gypsy, I mean Joe, I mean WWG1, Rhonda Sanders, M1, Tiny Tesla, Shia, everybody in this chat, as far as I am concerned, in their own form, in their own way, are citizen journalists. Joe is another. Joe 56984 over on Rumble. Didn't Biden tell Stephanopoulos he had not seen a neurologist and not have been tested by a neurologist? Wait a minute. Wait a second. You are absolutely right. I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Stephanopoulos asked him that question straight up. Have you seen a neurologist and have you been tested? Now, I'm going to tease this a little bit. I've got a theory, and I cannot prove it, but this is just my working theory. When this story about the neurologist broke over the weekend, I've got a feeling I can see where this is going. Here's my theory. The Democrats are devising a way to get Joe out. And it basically goes like this. Okay, yes, you're seeing a neurologist as part of your annual physical. You've got deeper neurological problems that are being hidden or maybe have come up since the physical. You've been hiding it from the American people. It's now exposed. You need to go. You need to step down. You've lied to the American people. You withheld the truth from them. This neurologist, yeah, I can just see it going down this path. Now, I can just hear it right now. Oh, you're being conspiracy theorist about this front porch. Come on. They would. Oh, yes, they would. Oh, yes, they would. Do not be surprised if that's again, I could be dead wrong about this, but it just seems like all the elements that would need to happen to frame up the story that way are being put into place. You got a story in the New York Post about a neurologist coming to visit the White House in January, 1 month prior to Joe Biden's physical that he takes at Walter Reed every year. You got a story corroborating that in the UK Guardian, saying that a neurologist who specializes in Parkinson's has visited the White House 8 times since August of 2023. You got the president saying, "No, I haven't received a neurological test. No, they told me I didn't need one. They told me I was fine." Yeah. And according to the story in the UK Guardian, this neurologist, whomever it may be, has been back to the White House after the physical. I could just, and again, maybe my brain's in overdrive here. My imagination's getting the better of me, but I'm telling you, I can see this. I could just see that this is where they could go with it. They're going to frame it that Joe has been hiding a deep neurological problem, some form of or fashion of Parkinson's disease. He hasn't been honest with the American people. It's now come out in the open. He can't continue to go on because of the disease. He's been hiding it from everybody. This is a dishonor and disgrace to the American people. He knew about this stuff when he was running. He needs to step down from the campaign. I could just see it going there. I could. These people are shameless. They'll do it. It also solves the Kamala issue of her not being passed over. Just the talk of passing her over and had Lackawanna threatening to burn it all. Yeah. Well, now, I'm not on the mark yet. I have been known to be wrong on occasion. But it would not surprise me if this is where it went. WWG1 says, which means every executive order is now null and void. TBA says Biden is not going to step down. Personally, I think you're right, TBA. But it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to use the whole neurological Parkinson's specialist doctor visitor's log story to try to do something to get Biden off his game, slip on the proverbial banana peel, and slide him right out the door of the White House. I mean, we'll see. I mean, like I said, I could be dead wrong on this. Probably I am. But it wouldn't surprise me if they try it. Would not surprise me at all. All right, one last thing related to this. If you saw that clip with Karine Jean-Claude Van Damme Pierre, the White House press secretary. So what is the current mood at the White House, given all the biting, sniping, backbiting, backstabbing, gnawing, spitting, cussing, chewing, etc.? Well, Simon Atiba from Africa News sums it up beautifully with this. The mood in the Biden White House today was akin to a cemetery. They are about to reach their breaking point. There are only so many lies you can tell, spins you can deliver, and stories you can concoct. It appeared to me that they were about to give up. Yes, they are still defending Biden in public, but it seems they have been deflated and many are about to jump ship before it sinks. If the Republicans push harder and resolutely, it may all fall apart, and the wheels of deceit will soon come off, leading to a crash. Dismiss the gra-gra on TV. It's all coming to an end. Well, that's Simon's opinion of it, so we'll see. We'll see. We will see what happens here. But I tell you what, the mood at the White House is bad. The mood on Capitol Hill is bad. And it's just getting worse. Larry Schweikert, and then I'll get off this subject. I hope everyone appreciates the fact that we are looking at a first in American history where the media aligned with the party of a sitting president is attacking that same president. The press never even came close to this with LBJ. He's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. Okay. It is 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, July the 8th. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and we are here. We're discussing the news. Got a couple other things to go through, and we are on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We are on Twitter, so please give me a thumbs up. I would genuinely appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel on Rumble and YouTube, go ahead and hit that sub. You know you want to do it anyway. Fedora Nation is a fun and feisty bunch, as chat tonight is proving, especially on the Rumble side. Man, TBA and WWG1, I tell you what, I like to think of myself as very entertaining, but these two good old boys over here are just absolutely putting on a show. So if for no other reason, you ought to start hanging out in our chat just to watch these two jokers go at it. I tell you what, this is fun. I am reading some stuff over here. Woo! Interesting. Okay. So Congress is back in session and America is not safe. And one of the things that Congress is working on right now, that they're about to take a vote on if they haven't done it already, is the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or SAVE Act, as the case may be. Basically, this is a proposal from U.S. Representative Chip Roy, Republican of Texas. Basically, it requires that you must give proof of citizenship in order to be able to vote in a federal election. Now, I wonder why the Republicans would feel it necessary to put up a bill that says you have to provide proof of citizenship in order to be able to vote in a U.S. election. Let me see. Could it be the fact that Joe Biden and the Democrats have let about 7 to 10 million people cross the border, and we have no idea where the heck they are or what the heck they're doing, or for that matter, if they are or are not going to try and vote in our election coming up in November? Yeah, that might have something to do with it. Now, you would think that any administration, Democrat or Republican, would support this bill. Would you be surprised to find out that the Biden administration has come out against the SAVE Act? Probably not. I'm not either. Let's take a look at their statement and let's see what their argument is. From the Office of the President, Office of Management and Budget, we have the following. Statement of Administrative Policy regarding H.R. 8281, Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. The administration strongly opposes H.R. 8281, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. It is a federal crime punishable by prison and fines. The alleged justification for this bill is based on an easily disproven falsehood. Additionally, making a false claim of citizenship or unlawfully voting in an election is punishable by removal from the United States and a permanent bar to admission. States already have effective safeguards in place to verify voter eligibility and maintain the accuracy of voter rolls. The bill would do nothing to safeguard our elections, but it would make much harder for all eligible Americans to register to vote and increase the risk that eligible voters are purged from the voter rolls. The evidence is clear that the current laws to prevent non-citizen voting are working as intended. It is extraordinarily rare for non-citizens to break the law by voting in a federal election. Oh, this is funny. This is just funny. Yeah, they probably right. They should have done this back when they had a Republican House and Senate when Trump was still president. That would have gone a long way toward helping the situation. But it is what it is right now. TBA says, so is this statement of administration policy a good way to deport all non-citizens who may vote in November? Ding, 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 ding. You may be onto something, my friend. You may be onto something. Yeah. Well, I don't know what that statement smells like or what kind of paper they wrote it on, but, it is the Biden administration. They've been known to do some pretty weird things over the years. I'll say that much for them. So yeah, they are out and out opposed to this. Got a statement here from Mike Johnson, and this is sort of in response to Biden's comment. All they have to do is check a box on a form and sign their name. That's it. That's all that required. Mike Johnson, we now have so many non-citizens in the country that if only 1 out of every 100 voted, they would cast hundreds of thousands of votes. If a nefarious actor, Biden administration, wanted to intervene in our elections, that's for sure, all they have to do is check a box on a form and sign their name. Absolutely they will. That's it. That's all that is required. Illegal voting. Democrats told us that's impossible, but there are no federal requirements for states to verify citizenship before they register. In New York State, for example, you can register to vote without an ID, without a social security number, as long as you have a utility bill or a paycheck or a government housing slip. Jesus God. How do I didn't know it was illegal. The charges dropped. Who's really trying to catch them anyway? And where do they get caught? Catch them after the election. Joe Biden let 10 million plus illegals into this country. The Washington Times has done extensive reporting on this and found, in fact, that there are quite a few cases of illegals who have actually been caught voting illegally in elections. We don't know how many Democrats. We don't know how many because Democrats worked very, very hard to conceal that number. And to start with, I think it's important to highlight an important point just made a minute ago, which is the Democrats say, well, the reason we don't need to worry about this is because it's illegal for them to vote. Well, it's illegal for illegals to be illegally in the United States in the first place, and we have millions of them there. Great point. And the illegals are instructed exactly how to vote for yeah, exactly. Ding, 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 ding. Mm-hmm. There are moments that I think the election is going our way, and then there's moments like this that just scare the living dog crap right out of me. I don't know how the election is going to turn out. I know in my heart of hearts what I think is going to happen. But like I say, it's stuff like this that gives me serious pause. So 4 months to go. Pray like your life depending on it, because it just might. Oh, let's see. What else is going on? What else is out there right now? Let me see. What else do we have to talk about tonight? Yes. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we definitely need to get into this. Oh, sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to be showing that. Apologies. This week, the members of the NATO alliance will gather in Washington, D.C. for their annual meeting and to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. An organization started in the 20th century meant to be a block against the advances of the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact, or the Iron Curtain, as we commonly call it. 75 years. An amazing run. I've got something here that I'd like to show you guys, and I'm going to do my best to make this real. In 1986, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's see. United States, Canada, Iceland, Norway, UK, Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Turkey. 12 nations. 12 nations that made up the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay? I want to put something up here to give you guys something to think about. This, let me see if I can make this. I'm going to make this as big as I possibly can. Yeah, there we go. This is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization in 1986, all the members. The only ones you don't see up here are well, you see it down here at the bottom. Canada, the United States. Okay. Let's fast forward to 1992. Look at all that. You see all that white? Those are non-NATO members of the alliance. Look at that buffer zone between Russia and the NATO alliance. Big, huge spread, right? Lots of room. Everybody's hunky-dory, which, by the way, is the fulfillment of a promise that the NATO secretary, the American Secretary of State at the time, James Baker, that the Chancellor of West Germany, Helmut Kohl, made to then Soviet Premier Mikhail Gorbachev. We would not let NATO expand beyond its current borders, not 1 inch. And that phrase, not 1 inch, can be found in the communiques going back and forth between Gorbachev and James Baker. Those are on file at George Washington University. Okay? Look at that buffer zone. That's 1992. Fast forward, 1995. You see all that blue? That white disappeared. These are partnerships for peace. Now, the whole reason that the Russians wanted a buffer zone, that's they said, look, we don't have a problem with Germany reunifying. This is like 1991. We don't have a problem with Germany reunifying. We just want a buffer zone between us and NATO. That's all we want. No problem. That's fine. Well, all of a sudden, now we've got partnerships for peace. Fast forward a few more years. Let me back it up a second. Here's 1998. We're just about to roll into the next century, right? Uh-oh. Now you got Poland, Hungary. It's starting to move east. That's 1999. Here's 2000. 2001. 2002. 03. Here, Ukraine, look out. Look out. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Hungary, Czechoslovakia. 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 14. Look, that's a lot of deep blue that's coming up on the board. 21, and on it goes. Why am I showing you this map? I'm showing you this just as a reminder how it is we've sort of gotten to this point with this Russia-Ukraine war. Remember what the Russians always wanted. Even back before the Russian Federation came into existence, all they ever wanted was a buffer zone between themselves and Western Europe. That's it, right? That's all they wanted. What did we keep doing? What did we keep on doing? We kept pushing the issue. And if you don't believe me, let me do something real quick here. I want to play something for you. Hopefully I'm not... Hang on.
That he wrote a very eloquent...
I think that's...
America's defenses in the...
Hang on. Just got to check this real quick.
He said...
Hang on 1 second.
Gentlemen, you told us in 1990 NATO would never enlarge. That was the promise. America's defenses in the year 2000. They say the Balkans is a new strategic area for. We don't want to admit it because we don't want anything other than plan, and it was based on a long-term geostrategy. Now the Russians are saying, "Are you kidding? We wanted peace. We and said we get it. We won. You do everything we say." The point of that was to break Serbia in two. America's defenses in the year 2000 or peace. We need our pieces on the board. We need our declaration, a new country, Kosovo. We put in the military industrial complex to have a nice low. The Russians are saying, wait a minute.
Okay, I think I've got it. I'm going to drop this link, and I posted this over the weekend. This is a fantastic interview with Dr. Jeffrey Sachs, who's an economist, talking about the origins of the war that we've got going on with Ukraine. I want to play just a part of this, and I want you to hear this for yourself.
What do we know you're putting in this? You're a few minutes from Moscow. This is completely destabilizing. Do you think you might want to talk to us? So then comes 2004, 7 more countries in NATO. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Slovenia. Now, filling in the Black Sea, Romania and Bulgaria. Suddenly, they're now North Atlantic countries, but it's all part of this design, all spelled out, all quite explicit. We're surrounding Russia. In 2007, President Putin gave a very clear speech at the Munich Security Conference. Very powerful, very correct, very frustrated, where he said, gentlemen, you told us in 1990 NATO would never enlarge. That was the promise made to President Gorbachev, and it was the promise made to President Yeltsin. And you cheated, and you repeatedly cheated, and you don't even admit that you said this, but it's all plainly documented, by the way, and as you know, in 1,000 archival sites, so it's easy to verify all of this. James Baker III, our Secretary of State, said that NATO would not move 1 inch eastward. And it wasn't a flippant statement. It was a statement repeated and repeated and repeated. Hans Dietrich Genscher, the foreign minister of Germany, same story. The Germans wanted reunification. Gorbachev said, we'll support that, but we don't want that to come at our expense. No.
And yep, and I could go on with that the whole evening. But the point is this. So many people are saying it. And yeah, small time, you're absolutely right. We poked the bear. No pun intended, but that's exactly what we've been doing. We've been doing it ever since 1991. And Ukraine was the last straw. I'm not trying to stick up for Vladimir Putin. He can do that well enough on his own. But we've got a lot of dirt on our hands as a country where this whole Ukraine war is concerned. And it's independent voices like Dr. Jeffrey Sachs, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Vladimir Posner, Dr. John Mearsheimer. They're telling the truth. The media just doesn't want people to hear them. And yeah, they're not trying to be Russian sycophants. They're looking at Putin's tactics completely with objectivity. So, as NATO gathers this week, and the president gives a speech tomorrow on the 75th anniversary of NATO, just remember some of what I shared with you tonight. Okay, it's 10 minutes after 9. Let's bring this thing in for a landing. If you have been here tonight, you have been here for one heck of an evening, and hopefully I've made it fun for you guys. Again, my name is Brian Trippett on the Front Porch Conservative. We get together Monday through Thursday nights. This is just the start of it all, so we're going to have a great time this week. Just a programming note. Next week, I am going to be live streaming the Republican National Convention. The convention runs from Monday through Thursday. So my plan right now, at least as I've got it in my head, I'm going to do a live stream sometime in the afternoon doing kind of what we're doing right now. Okay. The evenings will be dedicated to covering the convention. I'll be here. More than likely, my good buddy Ruben Christopher Haynes is going to be here. Darius Simpson has said he wants to sit in on for an evening of it. I think he said the 18th. So we're going to have him here for it. And various other people. We're going to be analyzing speeches, giving commentary, talking about what we think, and going from there. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of stuff getting ready to come down the pipe, folks. So yes, keep that on your calendars. I'll be doing a live stream some point in the afternoons, Monday through Thursday of next week, and then we will be covering the convention at night. So keep that on your calendar. In the meanwhile, plan on coming back here tomorrow night. Oh yeah, I'm going to invite him. I'm going to invite that scoundrel, and hopefully he's going to be able to make it. So yeah, we'll reach out to him. Maybe he can pop in. If not, I'd love to have him here for my feeling about this is this. My guest hosts have lives, they have schedules. If they want to come on for some of it, cool. If they want to come in for all of it, great. If they want to come in for part of it, that's fine too. It's entirely up to them. WWG, you need to start paying me as a mod. I got your first check, but it bounced. Explanation. Now, see here, sir. If I give anyone a check, it should not bounce. Besides, I'm all out of rubber checks. Whatever happened to that check you got, I don't know. But anyway, you get my point. Okay, we're going to be back here tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. So please plan on joining us. In the meanwhile, thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for spreading the word. Share it around with your friends. If you got friends that like political conversation and commentary and just all around hilarity, well, bring them here. We'll see what we can do to, help them out in some regard. But anyway, I love you guys. We will see you tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. And as we leave, remember, as always, the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." We'll see you tomorrow night, 7:30. Catch you then.